Hi everybody, it's Marcy from Chunky Knitted Creations again, and Chunk is back. I had to do some repair work on him, but he's looking pretty good. And today we have a very exciting tutorial for you. I just released 10 new colors in my Amazon yarn store that I'm very excited about, and this is 2 of them. This is called Coral Reef. It's mint green, like a peachy coral color, teal, and it's like a sandy beige. And this is peach, or peachy hue I call it, so it's very similar. As you can see, there's like hints of the light peach mixed in here in the coral, so they look great together. And I just posted another video that shows all of the colors. I also released rainbow chunky yarn, a very true rainbow, which I believe I am the first one to do. I've not seen it yet, so real excited about that one. Go check it out. And there's a couple more of my creations that nobody else has. And I'm going to be doing new tutorials, as I always do when I release new colors. Today we are going to do this beautiful starfish. Isn't it great? Let me see if I can raise my camera up a little bit here for us. Sorry about that. I had it just right, and then it kind of got lowered. So you can see it though, and as we knit you'll be able to see it better. So for this little guy here, it doesn't take much yarn at all. He is about 14 to 16 inches wide from tip to tip. And you will just need a little bit of, maybe a quarter of a skein of your peach to do the center, and maybe a half skein, if even that, of the coral reef, sorry, to do the star points. So not even a whole skein of yarn to do the whole thing. And you can make it better if you want. I'll show you how, as I start the pattern, that you do have to use a certain amount of stitches though. So we are going to need a little bit of our wonderful Poly-fil. Not very much at all. And your trusty lighter and scissors and some type of stitch marker just in case. And let's get started. So for the middle we're going to use Peachy Hue. Just love, love, love this color. I'm going to be releasing some more colors in the fall that will go along with it. And for the centerpiece, first what we're going to make is like a round ball for the center. And then we're going to add on these by pulling up stitches. So right now we're just going to do the center ball, and you will cast on 10. Okay, so we're going to cast on 10, and then we're going to knit 7 rows up, stuff it, and close it. So leave a little bit, probably about a 5 or 6 inch tail, so that you can close it up. Just like any other plushie or anything that you start out with that's round, we're going to do where you leave a tail so that you can weave it through the ends, or the top of the stitches, I'm sorry, and close it up. I haven't done a tutorial in a while. I've been really, really busy with the launch of these new colors and the business and everything, so I do apologize, but I have some great ones, and I've also been working on a lot of new things to create for you. And things to do in the summer. I know that chunky knitting kind of takes a back seat for most people in the summer because people don't want to buy blankets, so I'm trying to create some fun things for us to do that we can sell at craft fairs, because those we mostly have in the summer, right? So I thought, why not a starfish? And another good idea is a lady in our group did a graph blanket that has an anchor as the graph. It was like a white background or an ivory background with a dark blue anchor, and she sold quite a few of those at her last vendor event. So if you stick with some summer themed items and basic blanket colors and bright ones, you can do pretty good if you're a person that does vendor shows. If not, you can make some wonderful decorations for your house. We just did a competition in the group. I always talk about my Facebook group, Chunky Yarn Blanketeers, and I send out a monthly newsletter, and we always have a contest in the group, and you can win free yarn. And it was Chunky Color Pop, so everybody did a bunch of really bright colored blankets for the summer, and that was really fun. Okay, let's see if we've got 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Look at that, I wasn't even counting. All right, so we're gonna form it into a circle like we always do. Hold your 2 pieces together. You want your end stitch and your first stitch. You're going to need to knit through them. So if you want, sometimes I pull the string through here to hold it together, but I've been finding that that kind of leaves a lump, on your base. and I don't love how that looks, especially when you're doing something small like this. So I've been lately just trying to clip it together. Some people just hold it together. And you're going to take your string here, knit through that stitch, hold on to this one tight, because when you pull through this first one it can pop out, just because it's actually the last stitch. And then go to your next available hole here, pull through. The same base that you would do for pretty much any plushie. We usually always start out like this. And we knit through the top stitch all the way around the circle. Make these stitches small because you're going to be stuffing this. And this yarn is really fluffy, so it's really great for plushies, so that the polyfill doesn't show through. But I still knit them just barely 1.5 fingers. All the way around, just like we always do. I can't decide if this is going to be what I would call a basic or an intermediate tutorial. It doesn't take long to do, and as long as you follow the instructions closely, then I think it's pretty easy myself. You let me know what you think in the comments after you make one. See, I hold them next to each other. Always make sure there's not a big gap of string or yarn between here, or your stitches will be loose. Definitely don't want loose stitches. Alright, so we've got one all the way around so far. We're just going to keep going until we've reached 7 rows. And we'll close up the bottom and we'll stuff it. Close up the top. You don't want to use a whole lot of stuffing because this is going to be something that you're going to flatten. You want that middle part of your starfish to be flat. There we go. Just keep going. Isn't this color beautiful? I really hope it's coming through on the camera as pretty as it really is. It is a really peachy peach. It's not real light like, I know there's a couple of yarn companies that make a mixed or a variegated yarn that has peach and gray and white, and I always find that the peach in those are very, very pale, so this is not going to match those. This is really peachy peach. But I will make my own this fall to match it identically. I'll have my manufacturer dye it at the same factory so that they match. I was going to make this peach match the coral. In this, I wanted, at first I was going to do this as peach, but I'm calling it Coral Reef, so I decided to make it more of a coral color. And then it came out with like little light bits in it that match this really well. I'm going to make a blanket and post it in the Facebook group with the two colors together too. I also sell the teal and the mint green that are identical that are in that Coral Reef, so I have probably 4 colors that coordinate there just with that one yarn. And if you were lucky enough to get some of the flamingo pink color that I created last time, it's out of stock now, it's sold out fast. There's a variegated color that I just made called Sherbet Swirl, and it has that flamingo pink in it. So if you got flamingo pink, hang on to it and get you some Sherbet Swirl. You can come to the group and see the purse that I made with it. It's gorgeous. Alright. So when you're making starfish, if you want to make it bigger than this, you have to make sure that you do the right amount of cast on stitches. So I did 10. Each of my star points are going to be 4 stitches wide. So 4 times 5, is 20. So because you're going to pull up in between each one. So you do half the amount of cast on stitches as you want for your starfish. I'll explain that more. You'll see as we start to pull up the points for the starfish itself. And then unless you can also, if you want to leave, I'll show you what I mean, in between here, if you want to leave, I don't have an open stitch at all there. They're right flush up against each other, but you can leave an extra stitch to where it's open, and if you want it to make it look like a starfish, like cartoon character, you can leave the bottom part farther apart, like 2 stitches apart, so it looks like legs. And you can put, I made one before and I put 2 eyes and a nose on it, and it was really cute. So But anyways, you want to make sure that you just have, you don't want to have, you know, one point with, you know, 2 or 3 stitches between it, and then the other ones have 1 or 2. You have to make sure that it's equivalent. So you might think, okay, well, you only cast it on 10, you would only be able to pull up 10 stitches, but no, you can actually pull up 20. You're going to divide that by your 5 points, and that's how many stitches wide your star points will be. Again, it'll make more sense as I go. Alright, we're getting there. It's so nice to have really fluffy yarn because you don't even need to knit as many rows on things like this to get them to be the size that you want. If I knitted this with one of my previous brands that I used to use before I launched my own yarn, I noticed that I used to use a lot more. Like, I have all my measurements written down for blankets with every brand that I've ever used, and you know how big it was and how many skeins it took me. And I've noticed that I can make a same width and height of a blanket with this yarn and use about 1 skein less on a 40 by 60 blanket. So good quality yarn really does pay off in the end. You might pay a little more for it. Yes, I can't sell it for $5 a skein. I wish I could, or 6, because you know, my overhead is too high for that. But you definitely get what you pay for. I'm a huge fan of Bernat yarn. I've always loved theirs. So I tried to achieve a quality as close as I could to theirs. Alright, let's see where we're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is my 7th row. And the only reason I use the stitch marker with these, I know it's small, but you want to know where you started. Potato fuzzies from the Coral Reef. I hope everybody can see better now. I've been filming over my shoulder, even though it's uncomfortable for me. I keep hitting the camera stand is right there next to me. I tried 2 different ones and it just doesn't work with my table. Alright, so this is where we started. This should be my last stitch. Let me make sure that I got 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, again, that's how you count your rows. Just stick your finger in the holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So now that we've got 7, we're gonna close it. We're gonna go, here's the bottom of it. We're gonna go from the inside out. Okay, so inside, I leave my clip on for the first one because as you can see, there's a big hole there. Inside out. Alright, and then I do 2 stitches, and then I cinch it. Alright, so to cinch it, you just kind of put your finger on the inside and outside of these stitches, but not on that yarn, and just pull a little bit. Not much to tighten at first. See there, you can see it kind of cinching a little. Alright, now I usually, since it's so small, I'm gonna cinch like every stitch. Just to make sure I get a good closure because the yarn is thick. So go from the inside, pull through, out. Okay, and if it doesn't close up all the way, I can either go around one more time or I can undo it and do it a second time, and then it just always seems to work that way because it kind of flattens out the yarn a little bit. And as you can see, my yarn is tough. I'm pulling really hard on it so far. Nothing's breaking, knock on wood. Inside out. Close it up. Almost done. Just got a little bit of a hole, but we need this to be really closed up good because it's going to be the face of our starfish. I can tell by the way this one feels, it's the one before the starting stitch. There we go. See it? There's a tiny little hole left, which I know that my knot will close that up, but I'm going to try to get one, go through one more stitch here, inside out, and see if I can close it up even more. Okay. Yeah, so now when I pull this through and tie a knot, it'll actually fill that in. Now, if it weren't for time's sake, I would actually redo that because that's just a little bigger than what I like. But I'm going to make a nice big knot here. Left my cast on my my piece that I left to tie off with here. I made it a little too short, so you might want to do like more like 8 inches. Alright, so there. Now it closed it up when I pulled that through, and that's on the inside, so it'll stay. Alright, now we'll stuff him a little bit. Remember, you're going to flatten this out. You don't want a ball. You want to, like, you know, flatten out like an oval. So you don't need a whole lot of this. Just enough to make it stiff. So maybe just 2 little handfuls. And then we're going to close off the other way. We're going to go from the inside out all the way around through each loop. So what I usually do is measure about 1. If it's something small like this, you only need about 1 circumference worth of yarn. When it comes to bigger stuff, for some reason, it seems like you need more yarn. So we're done with the peach, and I had already used some of it to make the first starfish and the second starfish, and I still have a half a skein left. My skeins average anywhere from 30 to 33 yards. They're sold by weight, so darker colors are going to be heavier, which means you'll get a little less yarn. So just know that when you order yarn by weight, you know, especially on Amazon, that's how pretty much all of us sell it. Your darker colors will have a little bit less on them. Alright, so you're going to take your working yarn here and go inside out. Go pull it through that loop. Alright. Kind of push your stuffing way down in there. You can actually even wait and stuff it after you've done part of this if you don't want it to drag like it has just done to me. Just push your yarn through there, your working yarn. Make sure your stitch kind of stays, you know, facing like this or turned sideways a little bit. Don't let it flip like upside down because then it will look bumpy. So inside out. Hold on to your stitch so it doesn't get twisted. Inside out. Don't pull too tight yet, but you can pull a little bit because you don't want it to be lopsided. If you start pulling now, it's going to pull everything over. Oops, yeah, see, I pulled a little too much there, but I think we'll still be okay. I'll make this one looser. And pull. And pull. And pull. Alright, so I've got yarn through every loop on the top there. Now I'm also gonna, I like to hold on to this second to the last stitch because after I tighten it, I want to go through this one more time, so I don't want it to get too tight. So just grab your working yarn and pull, 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 and it will close up all the way. Before you get it all the way, you might want to reach in and kind of spread your yarn around. Again, you want this to be flat, about like that, like a small gourd. Alright. And then I let go of that second to the last. See how much yarn is left? So you really only need to go around fairly even once. There we go. I just find going through the first stitch a second time secures it more. Alright. Now it's up to you. When you can tie your knot and take all this and stuff it down inside there. But if you're a yarn scrappy like me and you like to make scrap blankets, or you want to just have it around in case you're playing yarn chicken one time, making a blanket, and you need that little extra piece, I cut it off. I like to leave about 3 inches or 4 inches just so it will go all the way down inside the plushie and stay down in there and not pop out on me. So let's shove it in there. Just shove it down in that hole that you just closed up. This is the same way as you would make a round pillow, my round pillow tutorial that I did, but a really tiny little round pillow. Isn't it cute? Okay, so this is what I mean. We're going to pull up stitches on the side. So this two right here, that's one stitch that we casted on, but we're going to pull up our new stitches in between them. So you actually do have 20 when you make 10 stitches. Alright, so you want to just kind of try to find your center of your piece and pull up a stitch, and then just make sure you follow that all the way around with the rest of them. Now we're going to get our coral reef and pull up 4 stitches. I don't know why I burned that together for some reason. It was probably falling apart and I just, or kept falling off the skein and I didn't want it to, so let me disconnect my skein. Alright, so when you pull up your stitch, you want to leave, you know, a good 2 inches behind it, and you'll see why when we go to close up each star point. Alright, so there's 1 stitch that I pulled through, and it's actually, we're going to stand it up here in a minute, okay? And just, you want a little bit of length there. So 1, and then you're going to go to the next piece, and we're pulling that string that runs in between each stitch. 2, pull another one through, okay. 3. Sometimes it can be difficult if it's knitted too tight to find that string. There you go. So just kind of separate it on both sides. But you need it to be knitted tight so that your poly-fil doesn't show through. And luckily with this one, you don't have to stuff it a whole lot, so there's not a lot of poly-fil to stick out. Alright, so I've got 4 stitches. Okay, now on this next part, I'm going to flip it around, and I need to pull up 4 more because I'm going to actually stuff this thing. So it's up to you if you want to pull it through the same exact stitch, which is what I do. You can see the back part of that. That's the stitch that I just pulled these through. You can pull the back one through that too, or you can go down to the next row. But I find when I do that, it kind of makes it off-centered a little bit. So we need to pull up 4 more stitches from behind. So just be careful when you do the first one if you're going to do it my way here. And I just go up and over and pull that stitch that way. Pull it through here. Alright, so you've actually got 2 stitches coming through 1 piece right there. Okay, so here's the other stitch that we pulled up. Grab that peach part, and you're going to take this and push it through. Try not to push your other stitch right back out. You can kind of hold on to it. It works out better, or it kind of looks better when you use the same. If you find this too hard, again, you can pull up your front part of your star here and your second part right behind it, okay? Or you can just use the same one. Alright, go to the 4th one. This is actually the hardest part, believe it or not, once you get this done. So we're going to push it through. It's almost like your purl in the back piece. Alright, so you've got 3. Leave my little string alone there. And 4. There we go. See how my other stitch almost disappeared? But I have that string there, so I'm just going to pull him back out. Make sure your front and back of the stitch is there. You can see from the side, there's 4 there, and there's 4 there, okay? So I've got that through, and then there's my working yarn. I'm going to flip it back around. This was the very first stitch that we did, and I'm going to knit through that, okay? Then I'm going to knit through the second stitch. I'm just pulling through regular loops. Okay. Knit through the 3rd. Okay. Knit through the 4th. We're going to do 2 rows of 4 here, and then we're going to reduce it. So we've got 4, and then you're going to flip it over. These are the back stitches that you pulled through. Pull up some yarn here. Alright, so again, here's the back. And this is how it connects, is because when you flip it over and start knitting through the back, your string runs through it. I always wondered, like, how is it going to stay? Are the sides going to stay together? But it makes sense, okay? So now we're going to we're going to knit through those back stitches, the back 4. Pull 1 loop through each one. I guess I will call this intermediate because this part can be a little tricky if you haven't done it before. Sorry about my yarn fuzzies, drive me nuts. And I had a bunch on the table from the first starfish that I made, and I forgot to run my lint roller over it. The softer the yarn, a little more it shreds. Okay, so there's the back. I knitted 4 through again. Now we're switching over to the front, and I want to reduce stitches because I want this to come to a point. If I keep knitting forward, it's just going to be a, you know, straight piece, and we don't want that. So to reduce stitches, you just combine two. So this is the very first stitch we did. We're going to cross it over top of the next one and push them together and knit through it. This probably would have been better to do for your first time with a solid colored yarn, but it just looks so pretty with that. So now I'm down to 3 stitches in the front. See, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, and I've already knitted through that one. So this is our first row of 3. We're going to combine in the back also, but you want to do it on a different side. You don't want to do it on the same side. You want to do it on this side in the back, or it'll look all cockeyed. All right, so here's the back. We've got our 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches back here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all peach or coral. We're going to take coral number 1 and coral number 2, put it over top of each other, pull our working yarn through it. Our working yarn piece is teal. All right, so now we are down to 1, 2, 3 stitches in the back also. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And we want to do 2 rows of each number. We're going to do 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. So now we've got our first row of 3 on the front and our first row of 3 on the back. Flip it over. I know this seems confusing right now, but as I get through each one, you'll see it starts to make more sense when you see it actually come together. All right, so we've got a row of 3 there. And I know I only did 1 row of 3 back here because this is a combining stitch. I can see how thick it is. So if I'm like, oh, did I do 3 on this one twice, or did I do 3 on this part twice or once? Okay. Also, this is a side view of it. So when you go to knit through the back and you pull your first stitch through, make sure that you're pulling this tight. So here I'm going to knit through my first stitch here. You don't want a big gap right here. So let me pull that one out. So say I did the front, I'm flipping over to the back, and I'm going to pull my working yarn through. Make sure you pull them close together, or you'll have a big gap on the side of your starfish there, and your poly-fil will show through. This is like our enemy. We don't want poly-fil to show through. All right, so knit through 3 times. This piece here is just for casting off. Sometimes I weave it all the way down and tie them together, so I leave a little end piece there. So now we are going to combine to 2, and I'm actually going to do my combining on this side. I don't want to do my combining on the same side each time because it won't look even. All right, so I'm going to knit through this one, and now I want to reduce to 2, so I'm going to combine. I like to do it in that direction again because I want this to be pointy. Instead of pulling the middle stitch over the outside stitch, I like to pull the outside stitch over. So now we're down to 2. I'm going to flip it over, and I combined on this side last time, so I'm going to combine on this side this time. And again, because I don't want to do it on the same side that I did the front. So find my working yarn, hold them nice close together here, and pull it through. I'm going to combine. Now I need to come down to 2 in the back. Combine the 3rd stitch over to the 2nd one. Pull my working yarn through. Okay. Now we're down to 2. And at this point, I'm going to put a little stuffing in there because if you wait till it gets too pointy, you can't fit any in there. You really don't have to put stuffing because this yarn is so thick and fluffy, and this is a small one, but I like to make it a little poofy, you know. As you can see, the side of mine, I like it to make it. But if you want to just make it like a cuddly thing, like for a baby or something, like those new ones that they're doing. I forget what they're called, sorry. There we go. Just put a little bit in there to make it stand up better. especially with the middle piece. My middle ball came out a little fluffier than I like, but I'm gonna flatten him out. As I started pulling my stitches through, it was kind of, you know, jacking it up, but we're gonna push it back. And then when I get over here and start pulling stitches through this part, it's gonna pull it back. All right, we've got a little polyfill in there, and we were down to 2. I was on this side, I had just combined, all right? And now I'm gonna flip over. See, it's kind of spreading apart a little bit right there, so I'm gonna hold this one nice and tight. And we need to do one more row of 2. 1, because I only did 1 row of 2 so far. We want 2 rows of each number. 2 rows of 4, 2 rows of 3, 2 rows of 2. Right. And then when it comes down to 1, it's kind of like 2 rows of 1. You'll see here in a minute. All right, so we got 2 rows of 2 in the front, 2 rows of 2 in the back. We're getting pointy. It's cutting in a little. Now we want to combine down to 1. And I combined on that side last time, so I'm going to combine on this side. I'm going to bring that one over here. Pull my working yarn through it. So now it's nice and pointy. Remember these shapes and how we do these things. If you ever want to start creating your own plushies and you think of an animal that you want to do and you're like, wow, it's got really pointy ears. I don't know how to do pointy ears. I've never seen instructions. Oh, I did a starfish once. That was pointy. I can do my ears that way. I've invented a lot of plushies and stuffies by doing that. Just taking off bits and pieces of other projects that I've done. I look back through other things that I've made and just look for the shape that I need. All right, now we're down to 1. Technically, it's only going to be 1 row of 1 because you don't want a really tall point. So now we're going to cut off our working yarn, leave it about 4 inches. Okay, and I started there. So I'm going to pull my yarn through. This is like casting off, but you only got 2 stitches. Pull that through the front, and then weave it through the back one again. Okay. Now you've got your point, and then you're going to flip it over. And it's up to you how you want to do this. If you can leave a long piece so that you can weave it down the side and connect these 2 together, or you can leave it short and just burn it together right here, which is what I do with most things. If you find that your side's got some gaps here, this is a good time you can take this and weave it through to reinforce it or reshape it. Just make sure that you keep your point. You can weave it through 1 or 2 stitches here, depending on how your color is turning out. Then, if you do it that way, you've got these 2 pieces. You can tie them together if you don't like burning. All right, you can tie it. Mine's a little short. Try to get a knot there. Yeah, I made it too short to tie it twice, so I'm actually gonna come back through and burn that later, but for now, we'll just tuck it in to the plushie just to get it out of our way and to save time. But yeah, I would definitely, if I didn't leave it long enough to tie a good knot and stuff it down into the peach, then you want to use your lighter and burn it to the side. Just secure it the way you want. Okay, we've got 1 star point and 4 more to go. You can, at this point, if you're pretty comfortable with this, you don't really have to watch anymore. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing all the way around. There's going to be exactly enough stitches or enough openings to make 4 stitches 5 times. Make sure you don't skip one though. Like right here's where we started. This you can't pull up. You want to pull up right here. So just make that many all the way around. Repeat exactly what I did here. You can write it down again if you want. It was cast on 10 and knit 7 rows and close up for your middle. Pull up 4 stitches and knit 2 rows of 4. Reduce to 3, knit 2 rows, reduce to 2, knit 2 rows, and then reduce to 1. And that's just 1 row and then cast off. And then do that all the way around. Okay, so that's how you make one, but I'll keep going just so that it's complete. and it gives you a little more, but you can always just rewind that if you don't want to keep watching the rest. I promise you won't miss anything in the end. I do all my announcements and stuff in the beginning. All right, let's find the end of piece of my yarn here. All right, here we go. So I think I'll leave my first tail a little bit longer. So find your very first stitch that you can pull up next as close as you can to the other one. Again, if you wanted to leave an opening in between each star, you would just add on 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more stitches to your cast on. And you can cast on, or you can knit. I knitted 7 rows to make him, you know, kind of flat. You can make the middle piece bigger if you want. That part doesn't really matter. It's just getting an even number for the stars, an equivalent of 5, you know. Alright, so I pulled up 4 stitches here. Just pushing yarn through that string. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3. This looks like 1 stitch, but it's actually 4. Flip it around. You'll see your peach line right there. You're going to pull through that. Kind of hold on to your other stitch if you can as you pull through, because it'll pull it right through with it. If you've got a big crochet hook, you can use that. Will come in handy right here. Alright, so again, I've got a stitch coming through the front and through the back of that line. 2, 3, and then this is the 4th one where we started. It's hard to see what I'm doing when the yarn gets in the way. Sorry about that. Doing the best I can. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, I think I've lost a stitch somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I did. Here, hang on. It's hard to tell with this variation. Yeah, there we go. I missed off. This stitch was supposed to. I pulled through stitch number 4, or stitch number 3 in stitch number 4's spot. That's what I just did on accident. And you'll know that when you get there and there's not enough room to pull through 4 stitches. There we go. It's just really tight. Alright. Make sure you've got all your other stitches there. Now let's see if I can get this to actually go through stitch number 4. Alright. So 4 in the front and 4 in the back. Again, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in the front, and then I pulled 4 through right behind it. Okay, flip it over, knit through all 4 of those one more time. It's a little slippery when you've got the other points on there. Try to keep it where you can see me. 3, and 4. Okay, 4 through there, flip it over, do our last row of 4 in the back. 4. Just getting these started, like I said, is the hard part, getting those stitches pulled through. So it might be easier to do it the way I mentioned before and use actually 2 of these lines. Pull through 1 line here and 1 line there. Just try to center it the best you can. You can even unstuff it if it doesn't look centered really well, your points. Like if you flip it over and you've got a lot more fluff in the front than the back, then just unstuff it and push them through and even it out if you're picky about it. I'm not all that picky, so it wouldn't bother me. Alright, so now we're going to start combining because I've got 2 rows of 4. So I'm going to take the outside stitch and bring it over top of the inside one. Sorry if I'm going off camera, but I gotta hold on to him. These look really cute if you put eyes and nose and a mouth on them. There, now we're down. I combined those 2, so we're down to 3 stitches. It's hard to tell because half the stitch is half beige and half teal, and this one's teal. Such a beautiful yarn. I just Can't wait to make myself a big giant blanket with this color, but I wanted to do some tutorials with it first because I don't even have a full inventory of my own yarn. It's all in my warehouse. All right, and this is the back. So in the front, I combined on the outside. So in the back, I'm going to combine on the inside, okay? Yeah, there and there. Okay, so come pull the outside one over the middle. And that's like, you don't absolutely have to do that, so don't let it worry you too much if you combined on the wrong side. It's just the line going up the side of it. Leave your working yarn over there. 3. Alright, so now we're down to 3 in the back. 1, 2, 3. Flip it over. Do one more row of 3. Hold them front and back close together as you knit. 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 here. You can also count your number of rows and know if you're time to decrease again. Because you have 2 of each. 2. This piece here makes it confusing. Sorry, I'm going to stuff him in there for now, just to get him out of the way. Alright, now we've got our 2 rows of 3. And we're going to combine the 2. I combined on the outside last time, so I'm going to combine on the inside. Alright, so knit through 1. That's all I did there. Bring this one over to this one. Knit through 2. Alright, now we're reduced down to 2. And then I'm going to combine in the back. And knit through again. We're down to 2 in there. We're going to knit through the 2 one more time. And then stuff it. That's too hard to stuff it when you get down to 1. 2. The stitches are getting a little big. 1. Get a little more yarn. Oh, if I would have seen this color in the store, I would have probably bought 50 of them. Just love it. Alright, and we have a little bit of polyfill sitting here already. Just take a little bit, fluff it down in there, just to make it stand up a little better. Not too much. Okay, now we're going to reduce to 1, cross one over the other. And get a hold of your yarn. Believe it or not, fake nails actually make it easier to knit. I didn't think I would like it at first. I did it just because my hands are on camera all the time. And I thought, let's see how this works out. You know, I'm probably not going to be able to knit with these things on. And now it just like is so much better. I can get a hold of stitches better. And if you get them done, get acrylics, you don't have to worry about them popping off, you know. And I just can't do without them now. I knit so much better. Alright, we're reduced down to 1. And as you can see, we're the same height pretty much. As soon as I close it off, it will be. Okay, that's how you'll know too that if you made a mistake and did the wrong amount of stitches somewhere, if your height is way off, then you have to go back and redo it, and that's not fun. Pull through the front, roll through the back just like you're casting off, and then you can do either directions. You can pull through the back first, then the front, but you want your yarn to end up in the back where this is, unless you're just going to burn it. But I like to weave it with these kind of plushies. I just, for some reason, like that extra protection. So just hold the side of it, push the yarn through, pop it out, weave it down. You can skip a row if you want, if it's getting too short to tie your knot. So this one, you actually want this piece really long to come down to here if you're going to tie a knot so that you can shove it inside. So again, I will just tie it off like this for now, and then later I will come back and burn it to the sides. So when you're casting off the top of these, like I was doing, I was only leaving about a 4-inch tail. Leave a good 6-inch tail if you want to be able to weave it all the way down the side and tuck it down into here. That's the second time I did that. I didn't cut my tail long enough, and I get mad at myself. All right, we got top point and second point. Do one more with you, and I think you can probably get it from there. I don't like to make my tutorials 5 hours long. Alright, so again, when you go to start your second one, don't skip one. Okay, go to the very first available string and make it really close to this one here. Don't go up here or back there, or they're going to be all floppy and uneven. Get it long enough so that you can tie off if you want to. I don't always burn. Everybody thinks I'm just anti-sewing and anti-knots, and I talk about the burn method constantly, but only when it comes to blankets, because I have washed blankets before that had knots, and believe me, I tied them good, and they came apart, and I've had customers return blankets. A cable knit one that took me forever to do, she returned it because every knot that I tied came apart, and I had to go back and remake that blanket. And of course, being the good customer service representative that I am, I refunded half of her money, so I lost a lot on that blanket, and I will never do anything but the burn method again. Just make sure that you do it right. Watch my beginner blanket tutorial, and where I go over in detail what you have to do to keep your pieces from coming apart when you burn, because people have done burn method before and got really upset that it broke apart. But you have to make sure that you massage the end pieces together really, really good. Okay, sorry, I was losing my other stitch there. So, alright, I pulled one through. So this is the string that we're following. Grab that. This is my second stitch. It's not getting hard to stand it up now and hold it under the camera when I've got those other points on there. He's not laying flat. I'm trying to make sure that I don't pop up my front stitch. If you do, you just start it, pull this back out, pull this through. Not a big deal. Just not fun to work with. Alright. Pull that through. And here's my last stitch in the back. That was the first one on the front. Just grab that peach piece and pull your stitch through. It's really tight. But you know they're not going anywhere. And then make that pull on that one, and it'll give you some more space. Alright, so now we've got 4 in the front, 4 in the back. Flip it around. Knit through all your stitches once. I really should get a second phone just for recording because my battery is always low. And it's giving me a warning already again, and I just charged it. Alright. Flip it over. Knit through again. My next tutorial that I'm going to do is very exciting. I'm going to do a pet bed, but I'm going to do it without the single crochet stitch. I've heard a lot of people complain that they want to make pet beds so badly and they just can't get it. They can't figure out that single crochet stitch. And it was really hard for me in the beginning too. I must have watched 7 videos on it, and I watched them at least 15 times a piece before I finally got it, because I do not know how to crochet or anything. Hand knitting is all I've ever done. And so anyways, I'm going to show you how to make a pet bed without using the single crochet stitch. You kind of use it on the sides, but it's a different version. It's how you would cast off a blanket. Alright, so now we're going to combine. Because I did 2 rows of 4, we want to reduce it down to 3. So front over back, knit through again. So that tutorial should be coming up within the next week. And it's going to be a combo tutorial. There's going to be something else you can make out of it too. And then I got one more that's really exciting. Okay, combine again and do it on the opposite side. You combined over here this time. We're going to combine over there. Just looks better to do it combining it that way. So if you accidentally forget and combine on same sides, it's okay. It's not going to hurt. Just won't give you as neat of a line on the side. Alright, so we're down to 3 in the back. And hold these two close together when you pull through so that you don't get that gap on the side like I kind of did. Oh, low battery warning, I better hurry. Sorry guys. I only get very little time to do these, and it's usually late at night. And 1, 2, 3, 4. One more row of 3 in the back. And it's, you know, my battery, even though my phone is brand new, is usually on its last leg by then. And I even charged it a little bit before I started. When I get rich, I will buy a bunch of extra phones and extra batteries and all kinds of professional video equipment so I can do good tutorials for you guys. Not these things. Okay, I combined on this side last time, so I'm going to combine on the other side. Alright, now we're reducing to 2. This one over that one. Knit through. Flip it. Combined on this side last time, so we'll switch. You can kind of tell when you look at it where it's kind of crossed over. And on a variegated color, it won't show as much if you don't do it right, so don't worry too much about what side you combine on. But on a solid color, sorry, I left my working yarn there for a minute. On a solid color, you can really see the line, the combining line. Down to 2. Flip it. Come on. And 2. Now that we've done our rows of 2, I'm going to get a little more polyfill. You just need about a handful. Break it into 2 pieces. Fluff it down in there. And again, if you don't have a lot of polyfill, you can make this whole thing flat if you want. You don't even have to. You can make it a cuddly, cozy thing. Alright, so we're down to 2. Flip it over. Actually, I didn't do 2 rows of 2 in the back. I can tell where I cast it on. I thought it looked a little short. There we go. Flip it over. Yeah, I did 2 rows of 2 on the back. So now we're going to combine our once and final time. Actually, go this way. On this one. Alright, we're down to 1. Flip it over. Combine again. Fuzzy again. Now we're down to 1. Flip it over. And now you want to cut your piece. Let's cut it a little longer this time so that you can see what I'm talking about weaving it through. Alright, so the working yarn's in the back. You're going to pull it through the front. Alright, just secure your last stitch and then push it through the back. Alright, there's your last point. Same as the other sides. Flip it over. Okay. And then now when I weave this down through the side, it will actually reach my initial piece of yarn there. And grab the next stitches. And if you find that you did accidentally not knit tight enough and you've got big gaps on the side and your stuffing showing through, you can get yourself another piece of string and just weave that all the way down the side. On this side too, they call it whip stitching. Alright, see, I'm gonna do this one really good. Back and forth all the way down. This is not necessary. I'm just trying to make it look really nice and neat if you're going to sell these or something. trying to bring it through the last two pieces here. And they're tight and they're messing with me. Alright, so now this time I weaved it all the way down the side. I've got two nice long pieces here, so you can tie it in a knot. Tie it twice. I will actually burn it, I have to. So now you've got a nice knot here. It's big enough that you can shove it down inside there, and it should stay there. See, it'll be finished off. Okay, so I did the top 3 for you, and there should be exactly 10 spots left here. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or actually 8. I'm sorry, because it's 4 a piece. It's late. I'm tired. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you're going to just repeat that process all the way around. Go to your next available stitch here, pull up 4 and flip it around, pull up 4 in the back, knit through it each time. I'll again try to remember the pattern, to write down the pattern in the comments like I always try to do. And if not, I've said it a few times throughout the video. You can just write it down as you go, which was cast on 10 for this, and knit 7 rows, and then close it up, and then pull up 4 stitches for each star point, and then knit 2 of each number. So knit 2 rows of 4, 2 rows of 3, 2 rows of 2, 1 row of 1, and then cast off by pulling it through, which kind of ends up being another row. And when you're done, it will look like this beautiful guy. So you may have to reshape your middle piece. He's got a little wonky on me. Just stick your fingers in there and push the stuffing around after you're done pulling up all your star points. You want to do that. Okay, again, like, subscribe, comment. Come to Chunky Yarn Blanketeers. You can get so much help there, and we have so much fun. Contests going on, like I said, the newsletter. I always do pop-up sales for my yarn. There's people posting different tutorials in there, so there's a lot more than what I have on my YouTube channel. And a lot of other experienced knitters there too that can help, and I'm always there to answer questions. So I try my best, but I don't get notifications for some reason if I have a question here, so it's just much better. Also, I forgot to mention the video I posted just before this one that introduced my new colors. There is a discount link just for my YouTube followers, especially, in there, and it's going to expire in about 3 weeks. So go to the video that's called like Introduction to My New Colors, Summer Colors, and in the comment section there, or I'm sorry, in the description section, there is a referral link that will take you right directly to my listing that has these 2 colors and all my other new colors. It will give you an extra 15% off. If you go there, there might be a coupon too that you can combine to get 25% off for a limited time. So go get you some of this beautiful coral reef, because I know this one's going to sell out faster than any of my other colors, and hopefully I can restock it. So have a great day.